For the past 14 years, we've been helping people to buy investment properties across the UK. And one pattern keeps showing up. People spend weeks finding the perfect property, the right layout, the right price, the right street, but they completely overlook whether they're even looking in the right region. And that decision has a bigger impact on your returns than almost anything else. So I've spent weeks digging into all 13 UK regions, analysing expert forecasts, current yield data and entry prices, and cross-referencing it against what we're seeing on the ground. And in this video, I'll rank all 13 UK regions from S tier, because this is YouTube, down to D tier. I'll also break down which ones offer the best combination of yield and growth, and why one region is delivering double the returns of anywhere else in the UK, but hardly anyone is investing there. So first up is London. At first glance, this looks like an easy D tier, because if you look at Savills projections for the next 5 years, London is bottom. It's going to be the worst performing region, they think. And also, you're getting the lowest yields out of pretty much anywhere, and you're paying the most to get in the first place. But I'm going to put it in B. Are you going to get the best returns there over the next 5 years? No, almost certainly not. But lots of people want to get into London. It's got so much demand, it's got the historic strength, it is the capital. A lot of people would love London to work. For the last however many years, it just hasn't. But now, because prices have stagnated for so long and they're actually falling right now, according to Home Track, while rents have kept on climbing up, and rents are up like, what, 30% over the last few years. That means yields are looking kind of respectable again in London, because it has been hit the hardest by so many things, including the higher rates of stamp duty, including mortgages going up so much over the last few years. Landlords in London have had a really tough time, which means if you're looking to get in, there could be deals to be done. The one thing I would not be doing right now is accepting something average in London. It's the time when, as a buyer, everything is in your favour. So I would only accept something exceptional right now. The other interesting angle in London right now is buying the right off-plan investment, because we did a video recently on why nothing's being built in London. We'll link to it below. And in that video, we showed how in 2027, 28, basically no new rental supply is going to be coming online. So if you buy long-term off-plan now, then over the next couple of years, there's the potential for prices to go up, but there's also a strong chance that rents are going to go up, which means your yields are going to be even better than they are today. And at the time you're completing, there will be nothing else, so you should have massive tenant demand. Okay, let's move on. Next region is the Southwest, and I'm sorry if you like the Southwest, this is an easy D. I like the Southwest too. It's a beautiful place to live, but it's a terrible place to invest for the most part. The growth forecast is on the low side, and the yields just aren't good enough. There's really not much of a compelling reason to invest there. You've also got the COVID hangover. So you had lots of people moving to the Southwest during COVID. Now, some people are starting to move back again. You've also got everything that's happened with holiday lets over the last few years. Lots of people selling up there. So yes, of course, we're using a broad brush for this whole video. There will be parts where the numbers work. Bristol has a lot going for it, but as a region, I would say if you want a holiday home, great, buy in the Southwest. But if you want a return, there are better places to look. Okay, next up, we've got the Northwest, and we have our first S tier. Of course, the Northwest has to be S tier. Of course, Manchester has been the story of the last 10 years. We're still doing deals in Manchester city centre. We did a really great one earlier this year, but the Northwest is about so much more than just Manchester. Of course, you've got the ripple effect out from the centre, which means that the whole of Greater Manchester benefits. But basically, pick anywhere in the Northwest pretty much, and you'll find that yields are good. The growth forecast for the region is right up there. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You used to have to choose between do I want yield or do I want growth? But now you're getting both in the same place. So that's why the Northwest is a really obvious choice for S tier. But in any of these regions, which specific towns and postcodes should you target? Well, we put together our free £100 million property toolkit, completely free, to help you with that. Inside, you'll find our full list of favourite investment locations, the areas that we're actively investing in and recommending to our clients. You'll also find area research templates and the tools that we use to evaluate every opportunity. You can grab it using the link in the description. So next up, we've got outer metropolitan. These are Nationwide's regional classifications, by the way. Basically means the area around London. And this has got to be a D for obvious reasons. All the factors that are weighing down London also apply to the wider metropolitan area. When the wider southeast makes a comeback, London itself is likely to have the first growth and the fastest growth, and I see the wider metropolitan region struggling for longer. At the moment, there is just so much supply, lots of people wanting to sell, especially landlords who are getting out, and just not enough demand. So you could potentially go and snap up a good deal, but in my opinion, there are so many stronger parts of the country to invest. And here is one of them, Yorkshire and the Humber. This one has got to be A tier. So this is joint top of Savills 5-year forecast. They reckon there'll be 28.8% growth over the next 5 years. And there is just so much strength within Yorkshire. So if you pick off the obvious ones, you've got Leeds. We're looking to do more deals in Leeds. It's still so strong and still, in my opinion, undervalued. You've got Sheffield. Sheffield, I'd say, is perennially underrated. There is still loads of value there. Prices, I think, are low for what you get and for just what a strong economy it has. Plus, it's got the universities as well. And then you've got Hull as your value play, where you can get in at really low prices. People write off Hull based on preconceptions. And yeah, it's not without its challenges. Its connectivity isn't amazing, but it is in the middle of a £1 billion regeneration. There's lots of jobs going on there. And I think if you visited, you might be surprised. We did a really strong deal there recently and would do again. Then you've got the likes of Wakefield and Doncaster, where again, we've done lots of deals in the past and would very happily do so again. They're just always strong, especially for rental demand. Doncaster, whenever we list something in Doncaster, the phone goes mad. Don't know why, but there's just a lot of demand in that area. And I think a lack of quality rental supply. Okay, next up, East Anglia. For me, this is C tier. It's not terrible. It's not like a really avoid, but there are so many regions that are more appealing to me as well. If you're looking to invest in East Anglia, of course, you've got Cambridge, but Cambridge just doesn't make sense for investment. Prices there are actually falling a little bit at the moment because it's just topped out. Even though it's got so much impressive stuff going on, it's hard to see how prices are going to go up any higher. And the rents just aren't high enough to make the yields compelling. If I were to look at this region, Norwich is where I'd be looking. It's kind of the new Brighton. It's weirdly cool and it has got a lot going on. But even so, for me, East Anglia is a pass at the moment. Okay, what's next? West Midlands. West Midlands has got to be A tier. So Birmingham, of course, is the star of the West Midlands. It's a bit of a Manchester story because much like Manchester had so much development, so much going on, and that has lifted the whole region. It's the same thing about 5-10 years later with Birmingham. So Birmingham has really transformed. If you haven't been paying attention, for years, the whole city centre was basically a building site. You just couldn't get from one place to another. But now all that's cleared, it has left a new city behind it. There is so much that's going on. People talk about HS2, which is coming eventually, but it goes so much further than that as well. Much like Manchester, it ripples out from there and benefits the whole region. So you've got the likes of Walsall, Wolverhampton, Dudley, which are well connected to the city centre. And so as prices in the centre go up, people start moving out there. And I think there are some really interesting pockets of value. If you go and have a look, I think you'd be surprised at how low prices can be, just like a 20-minute commute away from Birmingham. So West Midlands is somewhere I'd be keen to invest more. As I would be in the next one, East Midlands. This has got to be A tier as well. We're on a roll. East Midlands, just generally a strong region because of where it is in the country, because it's so well connected by road and rail. You've got loads of strong areas. When you're thinking about the East Midlands, you're probably thinking about 3 main cities. Leicester is an interesting one. That had its growth before anywhere else in the region by quite a long way. If you look at the Home Track City Rankings table, that was top for a few years. That had its growth spurt and then couldn't go any further. So it's been dropping down the rankings ever since. Nottingham is probably the first place that people think of when they think East Midlands. It's somewhere that I've invested in quite a bit, and it's somewhere that has never topped the rankings, but it's always been steady. It's generally got so much going on with the universities, with big employers. It's well connected by tram, and there hasn't been a whole lot of building. There's been more over the last couple of years, but in general, just look at the skyline, it's all pretty low rise. So there's been a lot of demand and there hasn't been a big glut of supply. So Nottingham has been strong for a long time. I think it will continue to be strong. And then you've got Derby. Derby is the one that's always been in the shadow of Nottingham, but it's somewhere that we've done a lot of deals and we've talked about a lot with our clients. Because the interesting thing about Derby is if you look at its average wages, it's surprisingly high. It's something like 6th highest in the country. And that's because it's got lots of high skill employers. And so average wages are high. House prices are still low. So if you look at affordability for owner occupiers, it's pretty good. If you look at returns for landlords, they're also pretty good. And there's potential for rents to rise because if you look at the proportion of people's salary that they're spending on rent, there's room there as well. So basically there is that space for rents and prices to grow that you don't get in other places. We talked about the Southeast, for example. None of those factors are true. So there just isn't the headroom for prices and rents to grow into. You do get that in Derby. Moving on. Outer southeast. So this is basically anywhere in the southeast of England that isn't London or the surrounding metropolitan area, and it includes the south coast. Is this a C or a D? I'll be kind, I'll put this in C, but really it suffers from all the same problems as the rest of the southeast. We don't need to rehash it. You know what those are. And I mentioned the south coast. Interestingly, the south coast has 3 of only 5 cities in the UK, according to Home Track, where prices are falling. So in Portsmouth, Bournemouth and Southampton, prices are falling. The only others that are falling are Cambridge and London, which we've also covered, and that is compared to the national average, which is 1.3% growth. Why are prices falling? Well, in Bournemouth and Portsmouth, and probably Brighton, which isn't on this list, but I think prices are also struggling. A lot of it is the reverse COVID effect. Also, it's the fact that they've just had so much of their growth already. Southampton is a weird one. Southampton is surprisingly affordable. I keep expecting it to pick up, but it just hasn't happened. It's falling further now. I don't know why. Okay, let's go from the south coast way up north. Let's go up to Scotland. Scotland is a paradox. If you look at growth forecast, it's right up there. If you look at a list of the top 10 yielding areas in the UK, I think it's got 9 out of 10. You've also, of course, got Edinburgh and Glasgow, which are such strong cities. This sounds like it could be an S tier, but actually, I'm going to put it in C tier. And the reason for that is the Scottish government. I'm sorry, but they just don't like landlords. And we're starting to see the effects of that now. So ever since COVID, Scotland has had like a patchwork of temporary rent controls, and it's been very landlord unfriendly. That's now going further, and they're bringing in the potential for areas to opt into more permanent rent controls. So in the past, there were rent controls within a tenancy, but then when those tenants moved out, you could reset it back up to the market level. What areas will be able to choose to bring in is rent controls between tenancies as well. So it will be capped at inflation plus 1% up to a maximum of 6% growth. So because of that, despite the yields, despite the growth, landlords are leaving. Registrations have fallen by more than 5%. The number of rental properties available is shrinking, which of course supports rents for now, but then they'll be capped. And so there's kind of a limit to how far that will go. It's also the most expensive place in the UK to transact in property because it's got something called ADS, which is the Scottish equivalent of stamp duty, and the extra amount that investors have to pay is higher than anywhere else. So you get hit on your transaction costs and then you're capped on your rents. So I don't know, if you're investing in Scotland already, then you'll be the beneficiary of some of this because you will have seen your rents going up really fast over the last few years. I'm sure there will still be opportunities. It might be that the rent control thing turns out to be less bad than it looks, but lots of institutional landlords have pulled out of Scotland completely. Lots of build-to-rent operators have said, we're not going to touch it at the moment. And that gives me pause. That means that I personally wouldn't be investing there, which is why it's C tier. Let's move on now to Wales. Wales, I don't feel like we talk about enough, really. According to Paragon, the average yield there is 8.83%, which is super, super high. And you've got the likes of Cardiff, Newport, Swansea, which are strong investment locations, but the entry prices are so much cheaper than you'd get in lots of comparable places in England. And funnily enough, when it comes to legislation, Wales is becoming one of the more landlord-friendly parts of the UK. Policy in England and Wales used to be the same. Then Wales went its own way. It got a lot more hardcore. It made lots of changes which were less landlord-friendly. But now England is making its changes and is becoming even more landlord-unfriendly. So Wales is actually starting to look better by comparison. It's still got fixed-term contracts and it's still got no-fault evictions. It's the only part of the UK that's going to have that. It's also looked into and explicitly rejected rent controls. So yeah, I'd say this is a B. We probably don't talk about it enough. The yields are strong, forecasts are strong, and the regulation is better and more sensible than most people assume. Right, 2 regions to go. Are we going to find another S tier? Let's see. Next up, we've got the North. The North, what Nationwide calls it, is actually Northeast England. Now, the Northeast, according to Paragon, has got the highest yields nationally, 9.6%, and it's also joint top of the Savills growth forecast. They reckon that jointly with Yorkshire, there'll be 28.8% growth over the next 5 years. Now, historically, the weakness in the Northeast has been capital growth. You go there for yield and you're still getting yield now, but that growth just wasn't there. But as you can see from that growth forecast, things are changing. It very much fits into this national picture we've seen of some regions have had their growth already and there's just no further for it to go unless prices fall back or until wages catch up. And the regions that haven't had their growth yet, well, they're going to get it because across the whole country, you've got this supply-demand imbalance. But in places like the Northeast, you've got the space, the capacity for property prices to increase and still be somewhat relatively affordable. So we previously avoided the northeast because we just didn't see the growth story, but now we are seeing it. We did a deal in Gateshead last year where the yields were great, but we also saw that growth potential. Newcastle, obviously the strongest city in the region. This is very much one where I would pick the strongest. There are lots of places in the northeast where you could go and get really great yields on paper, but you might struggle because the tenant demand isn't there, or that growth still isn't going to come because you just don't have the fundamentals in place. Places like Newcastle, though, I'd be perfectly confident about investing. And finally, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland, it's an S. We've got another S. It has to be, really, but I still won't be investing there, and nor will lots of other people. It sounds weird because Northern Ireland is absolutely dominating. Its annual growth is 5 times the UK average. Some areas like Derry are hitting 13% growth in a year. Like, that's proper boom territory. And you can still get yields from 6 to 9% or more. And the average property price is around 185,000. It's incredibly accessible. So what's the catch? The catch is it's just a little bit different. So you've got a different legal system, getting mortgages is different, and you've got the challenge of the distance. If you're on the mainland, it's just harder to make investment work there. And that is enough to put off me, if I'm honest, and lots of other people as well, which is probably a part of why the opportunity is still there. So I think if you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to travel, and you don't put it in the too hard pile because of mortgages and the legal system, then, well, you've got the field to yourself. Most of your competition isn't even looking at it. But of course, it's one thing to know which regions are performing well. It's another thing entirely to find the right properties in those regions. Because even in an S-tier region, buying the wrong property will kill your returns. That's why we partner with the very best UK developers to give our clients access to exclusive discounts in our most high-performing areas. So if you want the first look at deals before they hit the open market, then check out the link in the description. And of course, starting in the right region is a great starting point. We've seen the difference it can make, but you still need to get down to city level, neighborhood level, street level. So watch this video next, where I break down the 5 signs that you're buying in the wrong area. It will show you exactly how to evaluate a specific location once you've picked your region. The link is in the description, and I'll see you there.